Okay, welcome back. And our guest this morning is Senator Shuaib Afolabi Salihu. He's the Senate Committee Chair on Media and Publicity. He represents Ogun Central.
I sit on cybersecurity. I'm Vice Chair of Media.
Okay, and cybersecurity. Yeah. And quite frankly, IT is your whole area, your whole background before going, for higher service. Okay, let me just take that last caller, George, who called in from Ikeja. His observation was that he's happier with what they do in other dispensations, political climes, where there's a daily briefing on what's going on. And so people cannot say that they don't know what's going on. And so whatever goods are being done,
I like to thank
political opponents.
I like to thank George who called earlier. I think I can't put more succinctly than he did. Mm-hmm. We have a situation where somebody is working day in, day out, but he is not communicating what he's doing for the rest of the people. And when the economic team was invited by the Senate, one of my major highlights, one of the things I asked them is, you need to go out there and communicate more effectively to our people. The people are not getting the communication. That's why the narrative has been shaped by the naysayers, so to say. I mean, the same people I mentioned to you earlier, those who campaign on the basis we're going to remove subsidy, we're going to remove these multiple, even opposition candidates. They came around now and said, no, this thing is inflicting pains. Whoever told you that reform will not come with some pains? But you just mentioned the Minister of Agriculture. The man he's doing a lot of fantastic job. Maybe like other ministers, maybe they're not communicating very well. I mean, as we speak to you, there's an agri intervention fund to deepen our development in agriculture. If you also look at mineral resources, solid mineral resources, a lot is being done to also focus on that as a source of foreign exchange earning for the country. But I don't think those who were supposed to communicate this are doing so. But we must also recognize one fact. Those who don't have responsibility for governance, they have enough time on their hand to do mischief. Those who have responsibility for governance, they focus on governance, they're doing the right thing they're supposed to be doing. But those who don't have responsibility for governance, they have enough time to sell negative narratives. Nonetheless, the Yoruba people, they have a proverb. If you are roasting groundnut for someone who is blind, you must be whistling. The man will think, as you are roasting, you are putting the groundnut in your mouth. But when you are whistling, you know that the groundnut you are roasting is for him, and that you are not eating it yourself. The same way, I think the government needs to communicate more regularly, more clearly. Nigerians, we understand your pain. These and these are what we are doing. Those of us who are sufficiently...
I wonder if that point is across the board, by which I mean the presidency is one segment of that particular issue, and then the different agencies of government doing what they are doing is another. So all of this, doesn't it come under the orbit of the information ministry?
Well, it's not just about information ministry, okay? You know what the ministerial briefings that we're having now, like the caller will just call in now and say, oh, I had a low estimation of what the Minister of Agriculture was doing until I listened to him. Now they have done 1 year. What I expect is that they shouldn't wait for another 1 year to brief us. Those ministers, every quarter, because we're in a worse situation. When a worse situation, let's make no mistake about that. When a worse situation in terms of the economy, in terms of cost of living, in terms of inflation, in terms of insecurity, a lot of traction is also being gained in each and every one of these directions. But people do not know. If people don't know what we are doing in agriculture, as an example, and a lot is being done in agriculture. I mean, 42,000 metric tons of food was released from the reserve initially. Additional 60,000 was reserved. As we speak now, we are having a lot of initiatives, include agri fund. It's not limited to agriculture. If you also look at the energy sector, if you look at, I've spoken about technology, all of these ministries are doing wonderful things. But then we're not hearing enough of that. I mean, we hear because we are senators, because we relate with them. But we're talking about the generality
of the public out there.
When the information is communicated, people's mind will still at least be addressed to say, oh, our government is working for us. We know these pains are temporary. We know the gains are almost around the corner. We can see the silver lining on the horizon. Therefore, if they're asking us to be patient, we know this patience has a time span. But if you are doing all of this for us, and we do not have a full appreciation of what we are doing, then the mischief makers will take off the narrative and say, no family head.
Well, they probably...
And a president is a family head.
Indeed.
A governor is a family head. No family head will want to deliberately inflict pains on his family members.
They're probably hearing it now loud and clear, especially on this event, this 1 year mark that has brought all of this out. And it's been quite a while that the public has sort of been bemoaning the dearth of information. That we don't know what's going on, and it might well be that a lot that is commendable.
And also challenge the media as well.
Indeed, to dig a bit more.
Your role.
Let me come back to you because I have a guy on the phone. I'll come back to that point. Mazi Okoroafo in Arochukwu, good morning to you, sir.
Sayori, good morning, sir. Good morning, I guess.
Yes.
Good morning.
Sayori, the 1 year is something what? At least today in Nigeria, the educational sectors, the youth will not say they have been left behind. The poor or the downtrodden will not, because I was looking at national dailies this morning. I was just looking about the number of people that have registered for this student loan. At least there is need for the federal government, in as much as they said state institutions should also participate. And there is need too for the authorities concerned to go and upload the names of people in that state institutions. But I still call on the government too. They should also consider some of these private schools. You know, there are what we call ABCD, brand of private schools, higher institutions. There are the poor ones there. Because some of them, not that because they don't, because of the distance, because of security, because of all it is, made them to go there. They are not finding it easy to take care of them. If you look around, I see that there are some of Nigerians that got the opportunity of traveling out of Nigeria. Because of exchange rate, they have problems in terms of payment. And thank God that the federal government has just issued it yesterday or the day before yesterday.
Yes.
That they will look into it to make sure that the British government not extended our Nigerian students to come back to it because they cannot pay their money. This is also a problem. So not only outside Nigeria, but here in Nigeria to discuss, the private sector today should also consider not only higher institutions, even our secondary schools. If they can tell the government to encourage them, make sure that those ones, they are ready to learn and they have knowledge. In short, the IQ is very high because of financial aspect. The problem, honestly, education, I'm just going to education only this morning. Let the government see how they can do about the education sector so that the third tier of government should make sure government should like the government is moving forward now about to make sure the local government autonomy stands. But if you check very well, the local government authority went into bastardism because the 7th, 8th, 9th House Assembly destroyed it. They were told to give approval to all these local government. They refused. Now look at what is happening now. The basic education is that state government, which is primary school, but because of the aggrandizing with the state House Assembly members, now, they destroyed it now. Look at what is happening now. That is what some states students cannot go to school because the teachers were not paid. Infrastructure facility in primary school is not there because the thought is, honestly speaking, federal government should insist. Whether that judge or judges that are handling this case about the third tier government, the governor should remove their hand from the third tier government expenditure and just the money.
Okay, Mazi. All right, Mazi. Thank you very much, Mazi. Mazi is passionate about education, actually.
It's not just education what he has spoken. What he has spoken about is a metaphor for a number of things. Number one, I was saying the media should also need to do more. The federal government has approached the Supreme Court to give effect to the intent of the Constitution that local government is an autonomous third tier of government. The media, I've not seen this in the media being spoken, being talked about, being
put onto front page material.
Because we must begin to look at what worked in the past for us. What worked in the past for us was that subnationals were sufficiently empowered to carry out their responsibilities. You spoke about education. I am a product of a local government primary education system. The secondary school education I also had was public school.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, my university education, University of Lagos, was also public education. Okay, gradually, the local governments local governments were no longer in position to fund the primary education. We created the Universal Basic Education Commission in order to have first-line charge, in order to support it. All of these interventions as a result of a failure of the system. Now, so we need to talk about local government economy. We also need to talk about education. Two things drain our foreign exchange: education and medical tourism.
Indeed, those two.
Those are the two things. Meaning that, and in these are also opportunities for Nigerian entrepreneurs, because people send their children abroad for education because they think the quality of education here is substandard. It means that if you're an entrepreneur and you establish schools here, rather than people flying abroad to have the education they can have. Same thing with medical tourism. No, okay, you know one thing that will be interesting is that even as we speak, some people travel to Nigeria to have some medical procedures. Even as we speak.
Even as we speak.
Even as we speak. I mean.
Okay, I'll come back to you, but I'm holding Ada up in Jos. Apologies for that, Ada. Good morning to you.
Okay.
Please go ahead now.
Okay.
Please go on now.
Yes, good morning.
Thank you very much.
You're here and your guest, very nice Senator Salisu.
Yes.
Good morning, Ada.
Madam calling from the Plateau State. If you remember very well, Yuri, I was among those that advocated for the removal of fuel subsidy. I remember when one of your guests, or your experts, Salas Zaka, was there, he featured. I remember very well. That day, I was even one of those who said he should remove that subsidy. And when he removed it, that Tinubu removed it, I was one of those who also said, because people are saying that, why should it be on that day? I said, there's no other day, any other way you could have said it, and it will work in Nigeria, because that's the only way to get out of it, But I thought President Tinubu, knowing him as a strategist, he had prepared for it. Because I remember very well, Bala Zakat warned that if there's no preparation for the removal of this subsidy, it's going to bring untold hardship. And I keep on remembering it as what is happening now. Now, the palliative he has been given is not working, especially this sharing of money. And it's a restricted group. But the way things are, maybe they don't even understand what is happening. More than 85% of Nigerians, even myself, I talk to you now, have gone into that poverty group. And we're excluded from all these palliatives, That's why it's not working. So the only palliative now is like, as we the CNG buses were available and it is with the state, and we have, transportation is cut down, and we can just park our cars the way we have been parking it for some time now, and join those buses, and then the refinery starts working. Dangote refinery started working, but there's no hope there again because he doesn't even have enough crude. He can't get enough crude because of oil theft. So what kind of a country are we running? Why can't they stop that oil theft, and they make sure they give Dangote enough crude so he won't be importing for another day, It doesn't make sense. Then the government, of the day, and the senators, they're not even helping matters the way they are going about these issues. They should pursue it rigorously to get things, get us out of this poverty. And Tinubu is so lucky. We are all cooperating, not like on the streets, Then he shouldn't push his block too far.
Indeed.
The hunger in the hand is so much so. Maybe it's not biting you. It's hard. Look at the Gary. 8 cups of Gary. 8 cups of Gary is, we used to call it in the northern parlance, Moody. That is the 8 cups. It's 1,500 for the white one. Then the yellow one is 1,008. I couldn't afford the yellow one again. So I had to make do with the white one, For how long will you continue like this?
How long? Thank you very much, Ada, for calling in. Appreciate your call. Again, these are some of the things we're talking about.
I can relate to what you said. And Ada, I relate very clearly with what you have said. And I have said so even on this over and over again. The pains are
real.
However, one of the things that she said that's also a bit comforting, no one has ever said, I mean, and I've listened to economists, I've listened to pundits, I've listened to everyone. No one has ever said removal of first subsidy was a wrong policy decision.
Even as I said,
so.
she said, and we're all cooperating.
We are cooperating.
You know,
the only challenge is,
much as the pains are,
we haven't seen enough palliatives. When you are coming over to take up a company, from outside you could see a number of things that are wrong. I can say certainly this is wrong, but you may not know the extent of wrath. And what the government has done is, we need to take this decision. They have taken a decision. We need to manage the consequences of this decision. And part of the consequences is what we are saying. And she mentioned CNG. Again, this is also one of the achievements of Bola Tinubu. I'm saying that's also unsung. We are transiting from fossil fuel to CNG. CNG is a lot cheaper to run. It's even safer. And the federal government and the state government, subnationals are working on that. I mean, for instance, Ogun State, my state now, runs some buses on CNG, meaning that the cost of running those buses, I mean, is reduced. It also has, I mean, more security, safety valves than the other ones. But as I mentioned to you, unless and until people are able to buy their yellow gari or their white gari
as they want,
some of these things will still remain mere statistics for them. And I thank him for what she said. We're cooperating with the government.
Indeed.
But you also know that you have a government that is very clear-headed. There's a clarity as to where we are going. There are challenges along the line. We do not have a telescope to tell us exactly how every inch of the way will be. But what we have is that at every inch of the way, we will demonstrate leadership. We will address it as we come across it. We will take our way. We will be nimble enough to say, this is not working. Let us try this one.
Let me squeeze in Kesandu here, who has called in from Owerri. Good morning to you, sir.
God bless you, Uncle Yori, and good morning to your guests.
Thank you.
Uncle Yori, let me say that one of the best gifts President Bola Tinubu has given to Nigerians is this suit filed against the state government at the Supreme Court. We are so proud of it, and I want to say that we citizens are not giving him the maximum support he needs in that particular pursuit, because the Latin says, non si bis sed omnibus, not for one but for all. This is not for him. It is for Nigerians, because this is what we have actually cried for. This is where our yearnings and aspirations rest on this. We all know the importance of the local government system. It's independent. I want to tell Mr. President and the federal government at large that we, the people, are solidly behind it. And I want civil society organizations. We must surround Mr. President on this particular suit. Every citizen of this country, this is the time to show great support, because this thing is going to not just we understand the importance of the local government system, even to the poorest of the poor. This is the government that can actually take care of the person that Mr. President does not know. And Mr. President has shown leadership and capacity to do this. I want to...
Thank you, Kesandu.
I am suggesting...
We completely run out of time, but thank you very much. Quite frankly, we've used up our time, but it's a very important point that Kesandu brings up. You know,
the president was an advocate of true federalism. He demonstrated that as governor of Lagos State. He has taken the step again by approaching the Supreme Court to say, hey, there's a third-tier government.
Yes. And
we must allow them to function. And by the way, the removal of first subsidy and a number of these other initiatives are also making more money available to the subnationals. So as we focus on federal government, we must also begin to also focus on subnationals and to ask questions as to what are the subnationals doing with increased revenue flow from the federal down, from the national treasury down to the subnationals.
We've completely run out of time, but as you said earlier, there's a lot more to look forward to in the coming years, given what we are able to see now. I want to thank you very much, Senator, for coming on.
I'd like to thank you as well. I'd also like to thank Nigerians. Keep working with the president, and I'm sure the president is also listening. We need to also increase our communication to our people. We need to tweak our palliatives to ensure that the immediate pain that people feel now, the immediate pains, we also do something about it. And as members of National Assembly, we will stand with, we will work with, and ensure that the president succeeds in his Renew Hope agenda and Nigeria benefits.
That's a fine place at which to leave it. Thank you very much. Okay, that's our program. Join us on